Hello, my name is Caleb Anderson. I'm the newly appointed principal at Hayes Middle School. My leadership style is that of a collegial leader. A collegial leader is a person who takes ownership and responsibility for building a collaborative and cooperative approach towards continuous improvement. This is involving as many people and empowering those people to take full responsibility for input, feedback, and final outcomes in continuous improvement. The words collaborative and cooperative are important here. As a school leader, I will help foster collaborative and cooperative relationships between school, parents, and the community. Reginald Green says, when a collaborative culture exists, individuals support one another, display collegiality, they trust one another, they are open, work in a professional manner, and have a desire to serve all students. Building a cooperative and collaborative working environment begins with trust. Building authentic relationships with my staff will help me identify personal strengths and interest for each employee. M. Scott Norton explains that these strengths and interests need to be utilized in assigning work responsibilities in the plan to achieve the school's stated goal. Over the past 3 years, teachers have been leaving at a rate between 25 to 35%. Teacher turnover affects the school budget, climate of the school, and the academics of the students. The need for recruiting highly qualified teachers is a must, and working at retaining teachers is just as important. Recruitment for teachers can be separated into two categories. One, local hires, the other, national recruitment. Local hire recruitment consists of placing ads on the school website, recruiting from local universities, utilizing local and district job fairs, print advertisements, such as ads put in the newspaper, and also word of mouth. National recruitment plans consist of using statewide national recruitment fairs, also utilizing job recruiters, such as online websites as search associates. Using your recommendations of candidates, these will be the guidelines to the interview process I will follow. The first is the creation of a hiring committee. Establishing a hiring committee is a crucial component for the success of filling vacant positions. Runhar says teacher teams know what roles need to be fulfilled, which competencies are present in the team and which are missing. They also know, for instance, what culture is present in the team and which personal and professional characteristics are important for a person to fit in. Establishing a hiring committee that consists of teachers aid in identifying candidates who would work well with their team, and it gives teachers a part in the decision-making process. The next step is the creation of a position description. Conducting a position analysis to create position descriptions is a valuable procedure during the hiring process. Position description is a written statement that presents the position's important task and related responsibilities. Position descriptions are especially valuable to the school principal, the potential position holder, and the present position holder. By creating a position description, it allows the hiring committee to know the specifics the position entails, and it tells the candidate exactly what is expected of him or her. The third step in this process is the phone interview. The phone interview is a screening tool to gain more information on teaching methods, oral communication, work history, and the desire to work at the school district. The telephone interview will also be utilized to talk about the position description created for each vacancy I will be able to clarify and inform specific details for each posted position. If a candidate makes it to the second round of interviews, they will be called for an in-person interview, which will be conducted by myself and the members of the hiring committee. Before any interviews take place, I will train those members who are going to be a part of the interview process. Training will include the creation of questions and the legal parameters that can and cannot be asked. After we have identified potential candidates, we will send their credentials and interview notes back to you, the board, for a final decision. During the first 5 years of employment, 50% of teachers will leave. Supporting teachers is a necessity, and having a retention plan is vital for that support. Individuals will become or remain teachers if teaching represents the most attractive activity to pursue among all activities available to them. The induction program is a viable option for new hires to the school. Induction programs can be 1 to 3 years long and consist of a variety of supports. One of the most common supports in an induction program is the use of a mentor. Mentorship is a way to utilize veteran teachers to help train and support new teachers. New teachers traditionally have high levels of stress, and a mentor helps these new teachers navigate through the position. Effective mentorship programs include scheduled plan time for collaboration. Mentor schedule allows for observation of the mentee and training mentors to be coaches for their mentees. Through the use of mentors in the induction program, Ingersoll and Smith report lower attrition rates. Induction programs also include new teacher schedules, beginner seminars, supportive communication. I know that this year's school budget, it may not be feasible to lower teacher load or new teachers to send them all to external training, but I would like to advocate that as a district, we need to provide support to these new teachers. Alternative possibilities could include having some of our veteran teachers receive training, then come back and facilitate professional development for our new hires. This provides both support to our new hires and gives some of our veteran teachers opportunities to grow. Supportive communication also reflects the retention of staff. If staff are a part of a community where they do not feel supported, then they are most likely going to leave. As the new building administrator, I plan to capitalize on individual strengths. Using a mid-year questionnaire, I will be able to receive information in regards for personal interest and potential want for assignment changes. Developing a professional growth plan for all teachers will aid in the career development of all teachers. Development plans will give additional information on career and growth of my employees, which will also allow me to offer support and opportunities for staff when they arise. Finally, reinforcing and showing appreciation for the work my staff is doing goes a long way. Staff want to know that they are doing a good job. Taking the time to build relationships and showing appreciation for the work they are doing will go a long way. Classified recruitment and hiring is traditionally undertaken by the HR department at the district level. As I previously talked about, I would recommend utilizing a similar recruitment strategies that I covered for hiring teachers. These strategies include both a local and national recruitment utilizing various mediums. For classified staff, I would like the board to consider hiring an operations manager. Operations managers take on many of the HR roles for classified staff, including hiring, scheduling, and evaluating. Norton estimates that replacing classified staff costs anywhere between 25 to 33% of the salary of that position. Classified staff leave after the first year at an alarming rate between 30% to 50%. Hiring an operation manager to oversee the classified staff can lower classified attrition rates. With the current labor shortage and the difficulty to find paraprofessionals, I would like to pose that we create a Grow Our Own program. Grow Our Own creates a pool of potential candidates, both classified staff and certified staff, by recruiting after-school program staff, soon-to-be high school graduates, university students, and even other paraprofessionals. Traditionally, Grow Our Own programs are used to create pools for teacher candidates. I believe that it can be utilized for both. If we considered creating a Grow Our Own program, we could offer incentives to paraprofessionals to continue on in their education. Once they graduate, they could then be a part of the candidate pool for becoming a teacher. Hiring process for paraprofessionals will be similar as it is to teachers. I will want a position description for each position available. With the pool of candidates, I will conduct 2 rounds of interviews. The first round will be an over-the-phone interview, and the second round will be an in-person interview. Retention practices for paraprofessionals is just as important as it is for certified staff. As a district, we need to offer training opportunities for our paraprofessionals. Having personnel in these positions develop a professional growth plan needs to be utilized as well. These plans for paraprofessionals show that the school is invested in them as an employee and cares about their career aspirations. For paraprofessionals who are working with students, I want their schedules to have the availability to cooperatively plan with the team of teachers they're working with. Paraprofessionals are hired to work alongside with a teacher to provide support to specific students. I believe that they need to be a part of the planning process. Roles incorporating clarification, orientation, and training are essential components of effective support for the use of paraprofessionals in school. Defining the role of a paraprofessional avoids overuse, burnout, and potential attrition. Having a position description defined and held will support paraprofessionals being utilized in the position they were hired for. Staff development should be viewed as a self-development process that centers on the personal interest and needs of the individual employee as well as the needs of the school. At the beginning of the year, I will send out a survey that asks the staff on what areas of development they need and areas they would like to facilitate potential professional development. Teachers are professionals in their field. I want to allow teachers who want to take a leadership role to have a platform to do so. At Hayes Middle School, we have a variety of needs that need to be addressed this year. The first need is on instruction. Through observation, I have seen that instruction may not be very progressive or student-centered. Testing data from the last 5 years shows little improvement in student test scores. There is the need for professional development for teachers to better engage their students in a variety of teaching practices. Over this next year, I will facilitate a site-based workshop on data-driven instruction. I will teach my teachers how to read student data and use data to drive instruction in their classroom. Seeing that over the past 5 years, student improvement has been stagnant, we as a staff have the data readily available to use to influence instruction. Additionally, I would like my team leads to take part in professional development so they will be able to implement data-driven instruction within their teams. Over the course of the year, I will be a part of the department PLC meetings to talk and collaborate with the teachers. Diversity and inclusion practices in teaching and teacher training is another need of the school. Over this next year, I want to create a diversity and inclusion practices committee. This committee's focus will be on researching and facilitating professional development on a variety of instruction to help engage students. Currently, instruction is not very progressive and it does not center around students. By utilizing the committee, teachers are given an area they can grow in and instruct back to their fellow co-workers. Project-based learning could be an instructional practice that is used to help better foster student-centered instruction. The next area for professional development need is cultural competency. Cultural competency is another area of growth for our school. With the change in the demographics, teachers may feel that it is hard to connect with their students. Another committee I will initiate is the Culture and Climate Committee for the school. On this committee, I want both teachers, parents, and students to be members. Cultural competency professional development has teachers reconcile negative feelings towards any culture, language, or ethnic group. Utilizing the committee, reform may be needed in the organization of the school and the school policies and procedures. Professional development for cultural competency will include engaging in reflective reading and writing, exploring personal and family histories, acknowledging members of different groups, learn about histories and experiences of diverse groups, read about successful teachers in diverse settings, and participate in reforming the institution. Other items needing to be addressed include safety and the safety and security and the positive behavior instructional support. Safety and security procedures and drills will need to take place over the next school year. I will work with the Safety and Security Committee to come up with the procedures and then implement these trainings and drills for the various safety and security needs. The district is moving to the new behavior management plan, positive behavior instructional support program, and some teachers have made complaints. I would like to ask you, the board, when training takes place, to reiterate the importance of the new plan and also share how the school and individual teachers can make it their own. Professional development to me is utilizing the strengths of the staff to share and teach those strengths together. I believe that professional development does not just need to come from the administrator, but utilizing teachers to facilitate and be a part of the committees is greatly beneficial to the school. With any kind of change, some resistance is inevitable. As a leader of the school, it's important that I cultivate an inclusive, caring, and supportive school community that promotes the academic success and well-being of each student. I can foresee some potential pushback on the new programs being implemented at the school. Staff have complained about the positive behavioral instructional support model that the district is adopting. Hopefully, through the professional development of teachers, the understanding of the need of this model is understood. However, it is important that a plan for discipline issues. Norton describes insubordination as the part of a school faculty or support staff member is viewed as the unwillingness to follow the specific directions set forth by an authority, or the refusal to obey the policy, administrative procedures, and orders of the school board, superintendent, principal, or other supervisors to whom the employee is responsible. An example of potential insubordination could include staff unwilling to follow the PBIS model initiated by the school board. As the principal, documenting any violation is key. First step in my discipline plan is to have a conversation with the employee. Utilizing conversation can allow the employee to share his or her frustration or clarify that they may have just made a mistake or misunderstood the policy. Through a conversation, I will be able to reiterate the school's expectation. The next step is an informal warning, which goes past the general conversation. This step will be sent out by email or done in another meeting, and this warning will be documented. The third step is a formal warning. Formal warnings will be given, written, and discussed in a meeting with the employee. A commitment letter will be created and signed by both the principal and the employee. An improvement plan may be needed to be created depending on the violation. And hopefully this is the last step we will need to go to. But if violations continue, documentation will be sent to the district's HR for further review and course of action. After a written warning and continuous violations, I will reach out to the district on to what the next steps will need to be to handle this discipline. My philosophy for discipline is to be direct and cooperative in the change of behavior. I want to work with staff to help them grow in their profession. Through open communication with staff, I believe that if there are discipline issues, we can work together to solve these. Teacher effectiveness is often defined as the ability to produce gains in student achievement scores. This prevailing concept of teacher effectiveness is far too narrow. Traditionally, value-added models have consisted of a high percentage of teacher evaluation based solely on student standardized test scores. While value-added models do have several advantages, such as being cost-effective, directly examine teacher contribution to student learning, and require no classroom visits, value-added models do need to be used with caution. Value-added models makes some dangerous assumption of the test being written perfectly. Scores reflect improvement of students' cognition and capacity of understanding, and test scores reflect the knowledge of the subject. I will utilize a variety of models for staff evaluation. Staff evaluation at Hayes Middle School will consist of a value-added model, peer classroom observation, principal classroom observation, and the collection of artifacts. Value-added portion of the evaluation will allow me to know if instructional teams are meeting grade level goals, allow me to see if students are meeting growth expectations, and gather information for potential professional development my staff may need. Peer classroom observations will be utilized to gather teaching practices and subject-specific techniques. evaluation rubrics will need to be created for the peer observation, and training over the observation will need to be facilitated. Utilizing the principal observation, I will use both formative and summative principal observations. Ideally, I want to be in the classroom as much as possible. I want my teachers to be comfortable when I come into the classroom and for students to see me as well. Using the grading instrument, I may require some training to minimize subjectivity. I will conduct observations several times throughout the school year to ensure reliability. Collection of artifacts is the final component of the evaluation process. I will collect lesson plans, student work, and teacher assignments to determine quality of instruction. An artifact rubric will need to be created as well, and training on the assessment must be facilitated. Artifacts do not require additional stress on teachers because they have already created it, which is why it can be a useful tool during the evaluation process. While communicating with staff, communication for staff evaluation plan will take place during in-service at the beginning of the year. First, I will take the time to explain to staff why the evaluation system may have changed. We will review the observation rubric for both peer and principal evaluations. Next, we will review what artifacts need to be collected and where they will submit it. Following up on this initial communication, I will send out a memo about the topics we covered. I will then ask team leads to review the policies for staff evaluation and communicate back if there are any questions or comments. There may be potential pushback on the new behavior plan implemented by the district and the updated evaluation plan. Teachers are used to the previous principal's status quo style of leadership, and over the past few years, change has occurred, but more in a top-down style of leadership. With this, a clear, concise communication is important to minimize that pushback from teachers. My hope is that with clear communication and with collaboration through using committees and having that open communication, that pushback may be reduced to a minimum. Working with unions. When working with the teacher unions, an important part is the negotiation and agreed upon time that is needed. As I've stated before, there are many areas of professional development that I want my staff to go through. As a principal, I need to respect the contract time of my employees. Not just respect it, but I have to adhere to that. I've stated earlier that I want to institute several committees to help facilitate professional development at the school. If these committees must meet after contract time, negotiated terms will need to be agreed upon. Negotiated terms might require compensation for extra time work. Professional development days may be needed to be scheduled for the school year so that the school does not break contract time with the employees. Ethically, as a school and as a principal, I want to be doing the best for our students, but even that desire, I am not able to have my staff stay after hours, which is stated on their contract. A few other legal implications are first FERPA and then during the hiring process. Working with students, it's important that I teach and that the school teaches and trains teachers and paraprofessionals on FERPA. I have the desire to use data-driven instruction this year, and it is of vital importance that teachers and paraprofessionals do not disclose student records. They need to adhere to this law. During the hiring process, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act needs to be trained on as well. Both of these acts prohibit the discrimination of people based on race, color, sex, religion, disability, and national origin. People who are a part of the committee will need to be trained in questions created that adhere to these laws. Multiple measures of success will be utilized over the course of this next school year. Using a staff climate survey, I will be able to assess if the morale of the school has improved. I will use a staff climate survey at the beginning and end of the school year. This will allow me to see where staff are right at the beginning and then to judge the improvements towards the end of the year. Teacher retention. Teacher retention is a very important part of this next coming school year. At the end of the school year, retention of teachers will need to be analyzed. Currently, the school has experienced attrition rates between 25 to 35%. If the percentage has gone down, then the retention plan is working. I believe that the number of turnovers will decrease during this next upcoming year, and we will see a continuous pattern of that percentage going down in years to come. One of the final areas of measuring success is student achievement. Student achievement will be measured by progress assessments before the state evaluations. Progress assessments should shed light on if instructional practices have improved through the use of professional development. I have high hopes for my teachers and the rest of my staff for this upcoming year, and I truly believe we can be the amazing school that we were in the past.